People fear what they don't understand. And in death, you will learn.
Welcome back to SwitchUp. Remember, if you enjoy the content, consider sticking around. We give away a free Switch game each and every month to the person most active. Everyone loves a good comeback. Whether it's Rocky Balboa in the last round or Sean Murray in the last round of No Man's Sky. Death's Gambit, originally releasing back in 2018, was criticised by many for a multitude of control issues as well as a world that seemed unfinished. Rather than simply take the criticism, roll over and die, developer White Rabbit went back to the drawing board, doubled the size of the game, improved all of the areas that were criticised, and then re-released as Death's Gambit Afterlife. This Souls Metroidvania hybrid is now available on the Nintendo Switch, but for fans of the genre, is it worth picking up? But is this one a pure soul or a hollow imitation? Well, let's find out. Your tale begins playing as Soren, who falls in battle, and all his comrades at arms have also been slain. He makes a deal with Death to come back from the dead and gain immortality, but the caveat is Death wants him to go and destroy the source of immortality that others have access to within this world. He's none too pleased with its existence, understandably, and thus the contract is signed. As well as this, Soren has his own motivations. He's searching for his mother, who he lost as a child. There are a few other interesting characters that you'll meet, some friend and others foe, but for me, it's always about those strange, quirky ones you come across in the deep dark, the ones that send you on the unusual errand of hunting for gold carrots, or those that capture you after you don't purchase from them and then ask you questions Gollum style until you can be released. Initially, when starting out, you'll have to choose one of several classes. Each of these has their own unique weapons and abilities, and they're tailored towards specific playstyles. After you've initially chosen, later in the game you can multi-spec, allowing for other classes and skills to be added, and I was reminded of the Baldur's Gate multi-class system. Gameplay has actually been tweaked massively since its original launch. They've included many more Metroidvania features, and this is facilitated by a complete redesign of the world. There are 10 new levels added in, and a much better mapping system. You can now see exactly where you are. You can use your mount, which can be summoned through a bell, and this allows for quicker traversal. Another nice aspect of the mapping system is that each region is color coordinated. It makes it much more simple when trying to navigate and figure out how to get into certain locked off areas. Those Metroidvania elements include things like a double jump or smashing down through the floor, and there are a plethora of hidden items and areas to discover and lots of shiny loot to find. And again, the developers have included 20 plus new weapons. Now, the combat itself has seen a number of refinements. It's a stamina based combat system with a dodge mechanic, something we've seen many times before and something obviously inspired by the Souls series. Unfortunately, when the game launched, everything had an input delay, which seems to have been thoroughly rectified. Certain weapons do feel heavier, but the response is instant when you press a button. The weapons fall into different categories which have been color coordinated, from strength to finesse, and when you save your game, you can then level up by applying the points you've collected. Now, these are essentially just souls, and you'll get them from defeating enemies. But the effects of the points are made very clear to the player, and it works well. If you fall in combat, everything gets left on the ground, and you'll have to go and retrieve it. But one nice addition is that this can happen multiple times. If you fall twice, there'll actually be 2 parcels that you can go and collect. It's really no longer the same game at all. Death's Gambit Afterlife also includes 6 new boss fights, and they're really well designed. The placement of save locations has been made much more clear and sensible, and as an immortal, the bosses when slain never fully die. You can go back and fight a harder version of them for greater rewards, and if you manage to beat a boss without using any of your health items, then in addition to a permanent character improvement such as the double jump, you can also open a special chest. Your inventory system is split into different categories. You can search by armor or weapons, and it has a very large capacity. Rather than having to worry about it filling up, you'll simply reach the max capacity of a specific item. There are 2 weapon slots, your main and secondary, and you can assign any weapons to these. They don't have to be specific to your class, although obviously some ability unlocks will be tied to specific gear. Starting out as a character with a scythe, I then found an amazing spear, but I didn't have any skills to use with it. It didn't stop me using it though, because the damage was that much higher, and it was a finesse based weapon like the scythe, and as such was made much more effective by the points I'd put into that area. Later, when it came to multi-specking, it would have been nice if it told you the focus of those specializations, You are shown at the very start of the game, but it was tricky to recall. You don't have to purchase maps, which is a blessed relief. When you discover an area, it's unlocked and is then accessible from that moment forward. When you get far enough, you'll actually unlock something called advanced talents. These are an extension of the multi-class system and add further depth to systems that just weren't in place in the original game. And for custom build nerds like myself who are looking to min-max on damage, it does work very well. Later in the game, you'll find the ability to craft items. It would have been nice if that came in a little bit earlier, but then it does provide for opportunities for the New Game Plus mode that they've also added in. For homework, I watched the IGN review before I did this, and their critiques all leveled on the ability to control the character and the fact that the world was difficult to navigate and it was easy to get lost. I can honestly say that just isn't the case anymore with Death's Gambit Afterlife. There are a number of different control options, you can remap the controls to suit yourself, and the world and mapping systems so much improved that it's actually very easy to see where you are and choose a new place to go to. Now, they've added in markers to show you where you need to go next, but sometimes you won't know the specific route to get there. I don't see that as a negative because otherwise we'd lose the exploration that comes with these types of games. Death's Gambit Afterlife is a brilliant Souls Metroidvania mix, and that's even in light of some of the excellent ones we've seen recently. I would have liked a fast travel system, but aside from that, there aren't many criticisms I can level at it, and it's great to see them include multiple new endings. Overall, this is a real triumph, and as mentioned at the start, it's a comeback story just like we saw with No Man's Sky. Gameplay scores 18 out of 20. The controls are very good, they feel quite responsive. During combat, you can do perfect blocks, the timing of which is quite tricky, and there's a parry system where you have to hold down block and then press down on the D-pad, which did feel a touch awkward. Still, they're a big improvement, and controls overall score 18 out of 20. Visually, I think Death's Gambit has an interesting style. The movement of the character resembles Dead Cells, but I don't think some of the animations are quite as fluid as that game. The world and environments though look great. There's a nice mixture of light and dark, some with colours that pop and others which are much more muted, and it feels like an entire coherent place. The enemy designs are okay, there's not the greatest variety, and they use that inverse kinematic style animation that won't appeal to everyone. When it comes to performance, it runs very well indeed in both docked and handheld modes. I noticed no areas of massive issue, no real slowdown. However, in handheld mode, some of the text size could do with being a little bit larger. That's mainly on the UI elements. But to their credit, they've added in quite a few options when it comes to the visual look. They've reduced the number of flashes if you want. You can turn off that screen shake and then tweak damage numbers and other items that come up on screen. There's also a slightly suspicious moisture setting. I didn't touch it. I haven't had a single crash so far, and we are using build 1.0.2. Death's Gambit has a beautiful original soundtrack.
I shudder to think what might become of me.
Do you mean us?
No.
It's as you'd expect, vast orchestral scores, a music which sweeps in all of a sudden and then may die down to an ominous low when you're about to face a boss. The real surprise for me in terms of audio were the voices of the other characters. Death in particular is excellently well narrated and is one of the strongest and funniest characters in the game, like when he became a sous chef for a mouse creature. I kid you not. Visuals and performance score 18 out of 20 and audio scores 19 out of 20. Death's Gambit will set you back £16.99 with a 10% discount until the 6th of October. Its normal price is £17.99, and honestly I think that's spot on. They doubled the size of the game, they fixed all the systems, and it's just a brilliant Metroidvania Souls-like. It'll take around about 20 hours plus to finish, and then you've got the New Game Plus and the option to go back and try and get some of the different endings. And that New Game Plus actually includes a few new enemies as well, which is very cool. I give value 19 out of 20. It's an absolute delight to see developers do this. It's so rare, and I know we live in a world where games are released unfinished or broken or messy. Their game wasn't broken, it was just messy, and now it is a clean and tight and enjoyable experience. It gets a SwitchUp score of 92%. Let us know in the comments if you are a fan of this genre, if you'll be picking this one up, and if any of you are going to EGX, please do hit us up. We're going to go down on the Saturday. Thanks to our patrons, you guys are amazing. You support us each and every month. And to all of you, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!
To feed into this cycle of death.